Hello everyone and welcome to another video with me, Umber Rays, and there's no JP news this week. There's a raid happening, but apparently I guess they don't want to work on the JP side. That's fine. I'm actually okay with there being less banners. Alright, but salt aside from the JP side, it's time to assault people with some global news and what I think of certain situations, because there have been some people who've been popping into my streams and being like, well, what do you think of this, and I'm here to tell you about that. So, first of all, let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is, of course, that Final Fantasy XIV is finally returning. That should mean that the you guys will get the raid event that JP got. I guess Global never got that raid event at all, so you'll be fighting Sin Eaters from Final Fantasy XIV. It's based on Shadowbringers and everything like that. Pieces of equipment. The glove is a nice little piece of equipment. From what I remember, Lionheart is pretty outdated at this point and really not something that you need to stress out at all. If you're a brand new player, then it's an easy piece of equipment to craft, but it's really super far behind in terms of the times and the other equipment. And heck, even during Final Fantasy X, you'll get Brotherhood, Tidus's sword, which is way better. So yeah, I don't think it's really anything you need to sweat about. I would more focus on the glove. But of course, this also brings into the conversation some specific things about the two characters that will be returning. First of all, the Final Fantasy XIV event is a collaboration event, so both Y'shtola and Thancred will be limited time characters. And something to note about both Thancred as well as Y'shtola, well, I should mention about the event, there is no new characters, there's nothing being added. There'll be probably the raid, which is like slash week and pretty easy, so don't worry too much about it. But I do want to talk about Thancred especially, and I do want to talk about Y'shtola especially. So first of all, before we get into the more complicated, the one that I really want to hammer home, talk about Y'shtola. Y'shtola is a fine free character. She is a, fine, like her buffs on the JP side. And keep in mind, at the time of this recording, I don't know what the global buffs are. I'm assuming that they're going to be basically the JP buffs, and let me tell you something. Y'shtola actually did okay for her new master ability. In terms of a low rarity free unit, she got a little bit more to make her a little bit stronger, but she's never been anywhere near in the echelon of mages, and this is also going to be the case here. So if you're really wondering what my thoughts are, cool collectible unit. I really like Y'shtola. I really like Final Fantasy XIV, especially playing through, Stormbringers, or, Stormbringers was okay. I wanted to say Shadowbringers, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, and Heavensward. See, I know them all. It's been a little while since I played the game, but I do love 14. And so Y'shtola coming to the game is really cool, but she's nothing remarkable, and her the buffs that she got on the JP side were still underwhelming enough that didn't make her anything that great. Alright, so my recommendation for Y'shtola is free character, fine. If there was ever you can pay some of your fancy blue pulling resource, Lapis, Vizior, no. Alright, now let's talk about Thancred, because Thancred is the character that people are like, oh, I like Thancred from 14. Yeah, so do I. Here's the hard, cold truth about the way he was enhanced on the JP side. They made him more of a DPS, less of a tank. They completely killed the original spirit of what the unit was supposed to be, and they didn't do anywhere near enough to actually improve him to matter at all. Red Mage has always just been this really mediocre inclusion, and while fixing things like Blasting Zone and whatnot, the fact is that Thancred is a character from the very beginning of the game. And on the JP side, he was not a double cost unit in the sense that you could not get his character shards from any normal way, and he did not appear in the shops. He did not appear in Whimsy shops or anything. It was basically tickets or trading in currency that you did off pulling for the Vision card banner. And let me tell you right now, Thancred on the global side is an amazingly big scam. I can't believe that they've gotten people to spend double cost lapis. So here's the thing. Pending the fact that they gave him an entire rework to his main kit as well as his sub kits and made his stats more in line with newer units, sure, he might actually be worthy of discussion. But here's the thing. Yuan just came out on global. He is in considerably and an amazingly a much stronger unit. And in the future, Lord King Mont, yeah, I'm just saying that because some people get annoyed by it. Sorry. Anyway, not sorry. Thancred is not good enough. He is not good enough to spend any Vizier on him at all. He is too slow, his HP just isn't good enough, and his attack isn't that great either. And yeah, I know, he can chain, who cares? His speed isn't enough to keep up with other units like Ramza or a lot of the other future / light units that will appear. Like Elsie's just way faster than him. There are so much better characters out there, and just wait for Ramza to get a rerun if you're really that like hard on for like another slashing based character that's light and you don't have him. Thancred is not worth spending your Vizier. If you get him for free, if you get him maxed for free, that's fine. I don't even think his Trust Mastery is that good anymore. Like, everything about him is outdated. So unless Gumi really wants to, on the global side, just do a massive sweeping improvement in terms of his kit, I don't think there's any salvation here. If it's just a copy and paste from the JP side, I'm going to just spoil it for you right now. No, it wasn't good enough. I tried, it just didn't work. I just phased him out of my team any way I could because he is a character from the beginning of the game and they are not interested in making him good. Alright, so yeah, that's my review about Thancred. Now, getting off of the Final Fantasy XIV stuff, something that is a much more positive is the Saiga Part 2, or I want to say like the Saiga Saga Part 2. This is actually my favorite side story from last year. I haven't done my awards yet for last year. I still need to make the graphics and everything for it. But this is my favorite side story from from last year. It was just fun. I like all the extra characters in it. I really like part 1 for the most part, and part 2 just as a continuation of it. I'd actually be okay if this was the main story in WOTV, because it's a little more interesting what's going on, in my opinion. But it does bring a couple of new characters to the fray, and we're going to be talking about them really quickly. So first of all, Livial. Livial, who I assume that's supposed to be spoken with a French tone. Geez, alright, so long story short, this is just basically a cheap version of Ildira in the Earth element. So Black Mage, Cleric, and Arithmetician. Arithmetician is what you're always just essentially going to run on her because it's just the best job. She has the wide sweeping AoEs, she has some of the healing, and her master ability from my recollection is like an improvement to healing. She's not a bad cheap unit at all. I think that she is one of my more favorite ones. I really like her design too. Just the stuff going on, it's a little too skimpy for me, but I love the jet black long hair. I like the blue highlights on it. Like, I just really like this unit. And here you can see basically a level 78 version. How close am I getting it? Not close. Okay, yeah. SSR or for globalers, MR rates are really bad in this game, IMO. But I really like this unit a lot, which is why I've even started to build her and have plans of potentially finishing her some point in the distant future. But pretty decent stats. And one thing that I do like about her as an arithmetician with this combination of jobs, she uses staffs. I think there are some pretty nice staffs out there in this game. Sakura's staff, for example, and whatnot. There's also a little bit of an AP bonus on this TMR as well. But I really like this character. She is one of my more favorite characters on the JP side, who is a low rarity. Is she worth breaking the bank for? No, but she's pretty cool, and I definitely, she is like one of my favorites in the game. So I give her a soft recommendation in the sense that she's a really good farmer unit because arithmetician. Obviously with Halloween Leela there, she's not going to be a meta breaker, but given that in the future there is supposed to be content that is more geared around low rarity units, she's not a bad investment, I don't think. Definitely a good unit, to be sure. Alright, and last but certainly not least, Nible, who on the JP side, I just call her, I think a lot of like the English JP players just call her Nible, because it kind of just ends up sounding that way anyway on the Japanese. But yeah, Frederica was one of my favorite units in the earlier days, and I really liked her as a Thunder Range unit. And when I first saw Niv, honestly, I took a look at her, and I'm not really into the whole BDSM style stuff that's going on here, but once I did actually get the unit and did get her, she has become my favorite range unit in the game. First of all, the brand new job class, technically should be, is the Sniper class. Spider Rain, her limit burst, lowers defense on targets within range for 3 turns, then deals damage medium. Also, she has Slow Arrow, which can remove a unit's move by 1 for a couple turns, and she also has a Destroyed Barrier that reduces physical damage on target that deals damage. So, Sniper class has some really good status effects on it, like some really like status modifiers that are really fun. Niv came out right before, or pretty close to, the next Porcelain Tower improvement, which, if I can just speak, she ended up saving me a massive headache, because one of the things that was just so good about her was the fact that, unlike Frederica, she doesn't have the problem with range. So she was able to zone out some enemies based on dead bodies, littering the field, and just attack the enemy. She also just has generally pretty nice movement. Time Mage removes some of the casting time on some of her abilities. Gunner gives her some nice stuff. Double Gunner probably would be better, but Sniper has pretty adequate defense penetration, and even has a few ways to go up against some of the Esper beasts, I do believe, with buffs as well. So yeah, Niv is a character that I like way more than Frederica. As a matter of fact, even though Frederica is due for her EX job pretty darn quickly on the JP side, I will probably not enhance Frederica and enhance Niv, because Niv just does things better. She has better range options because of height issues, and her status effects are just kind of fun. I'm not overly still crazy about her design, but she's definitely become one of my more favorite units on the JP side, and whenever I have a chance to use her, often do. Like, I even have all of, sorry, let me just get rid of the, I have all of her things maxed. Yeah, I just really end up liking her a lot more, and some of her abilities, just to, she has quite a bit of AoE. She even has, decent speed, really good range modifiers, some Time Mage skills too, which is kind of interesting as well. I want to say that I thought she had Quicken. Yeah, I think that's. But yeah, really just like this unit a lot. To scooch over for a second and talk about the farming weapon that will be coming with this event, the Killer Bow. In terms of like bows out there, I think that pretty nice critical on this bow, some extra aim, a little bit less evasion, but you're hoping to Niv, because of a lot of Niv's movement restriction abilities, she can potentially get by without it. Should be noted, she is a physical unit, so of course Bells is always recommended for every physical unit under the sun. Taking a look as compared to another bow that will be coming in the future, though, this is the Platinum bow, which is going to be coming much down the line. 100. This one's a much higher attack, but a lot less critical. So kind of depends like what you like, but I think that overall, probably a good idea to farm the critical bow or killer bow. Sorry, getting mixed up. And one more thing I guess I need to talk about is Niv's TMR. So let's get back there. Use the Thunder unit. She's actually in the number 1 spot. Take a look at the resistances here. So some slash, some piercing. Not much for strike. Basically neutral for shooting, and a little weak to magic. Obviously, like, you can say, oh, earth mages, but don't think that's as much of a problem. And yeah, I don't think earth element is really going to be a problem. HP and avoidance, interestingly enough, on here, and the ability. I actually can't remember it right at the time of the recording. It's just blanked, and I don't want to do a bad transition, so I'm just gonna look it up on WOTV. By the way, really still waiting for WOTV. Ah, here it is. Yes. So her TMR, increase evasion rate by 30 for 3 turns for allies. My general feelings on evasion are pretty null, so long as there are so many sure hit abilities out there. So little bit memey, probably not a TMR that you need to overly focus on, but I think that the unit here is better than the TMR, and that's still worth something. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. So let me know, are you interested in Niv? Obviously with Duan recently, globalers might just be needing a break, and this is a permanent unit, I should say. So long and short, just to summarize up, Ishtola free only, Thancred free only, Niv and Nible, go for it if you really want. I think that they're both really good units, but if you're just a little tapped out, these are permanent units and you can get them in the future. But hot damn, I really do love both of this side story and its characters. So anyway, thanks for watching, take care, and see you next time.